Welcome, Tzvi here. I heard all the time, just push yourself through. Just push yourself and things will change to how you want them. I lived by these rules for years and years when I was a kid. I would never give in, just apply these rules over and over again. Any situation that come up. If I couldn't sit down, I would stand up. If I could not do this, I would do something else. I'd keep applying it. If I was restricted one way, I'd go back and do it the other way and just keep pushing through and pushing through. Try and get through the self-confidence, lack of confidence, all sorts of negative things. I just keep pushing through, just ignore it. There was one big problem with this theory of applying, just push through, don't give in. The one problem was my physical and emotional health started to go downhill. I was in my 20s and I was starting to get affected by my health. But once again, I would not give in. I just pushed even harder. Nope, okay, that's there. I've got to push, I've got to get through it. The problem was, again, this ended up creating more limiting beliefs and just very draining. The pushing through was just not working. I was just getting drained, the whole process. I was aware of the situation, but like a runaway train, I just wouldn't give in. I just kept going and going. But the blessing was I had to do something because my health was just deteriorating so bad. It's just unimaginable how I went through it. Just getting that I end up having no choice but to stop and rethink the whole thing over again. I started my journey. When I started my journey to become more self-aware of my limiting beliefs, I created and kept creating them over and over again. Then, not working, take two. Then, not giving in was not working for me, and the real truth was, after years of growth, that it never really worked not giving in. It was actually doing the opposite. It was creating more resistance, more walls, more barriers that caused. But the real thing I needed to do was open up and allow the flow to come into my life. Things started really changing then, as it was far more effective, and the results came in a lot earlier and a lot more enjoyable, a lot easier. It was a win-win situation, as they say. Took the stress off, my health started to go up. I was so thankful my health started to go up. Physically and emotionally, the pain started to remove from letting go of the have to keep push through, because I thought that was the honest way to doing things. But the blessing was that I had to go through that to change. But self-awareness was the key. But self-awareness wasn't the easiest thing for me. Becoming calm in my mind was not that easy at all. This made it very hard to work on self-awareness. I was an ADHD. The mind was always working overtime. I was either fully going or stopped asleep. Even when I slept, my mind kept going and I couldn't sleep for long. I was just going. There was nothing in between. So to try and tell me to take time out was very difficult. So it was a vote and a process. At the same time, I was able to access the flow state in being in the zone and using visualization. But I had no idea what it was. I just knew that it happened, and when I got into a certain job in engineering and I wasn't distracted by clients, customers, the phones, we didn't have internet back then, there was just happened this flow state, and I know it felt really good. But I didn't know what it was about. It just sort of was one of those things like, okay, I'm able to lock in and just start working, and it just kept going and going. It felt so good. The light weights were lifted off. It's quite amazing. But instead, I would fight very hard to overcome my lack of self-confidence, to like building a wall. But at the same time, I wanted so badly to change. This started in my late 20s to work on the change. I tried all types of things, but nothing really felt totally right. Then I learned that the main part that I have to do was change the way my thoughts are. I have to change my thoughts and emotions from within me. An example, I was never one that really felt comfortable going out to large groups of people, like in weddings, bar mitzvahs, work occasions. But at the same time, I felt that I had to keep going and to go there. But it never felt right. I had this uneasiness inside of me. But it was a habit that I learned. I just went through it. It became so normal that you just did it. You had that resistance. You said, nope, I've got to do it. It's for work. It's for a wedding. There's always a justification why you do it. But the uneasiness was there, this lack of self-confidence. So one of the major parts of this was to understand that every time I go, this repeated pattern, this repeated emotions, these repeated feelings kept coming up. And once I started to realizing and to understand that these feelings are very real, it's a process to change them. This is the first key, is to understand that, hey, these emotions that I have here, they are real. And they are part of me right now. And I've created them for some reason. You know, the body goes through the fight or flight to make itself comfortable. So it's learned to do it this way. I even started to write down with details. It did help a bit because I started getting clarity. But at the same time, the old habit kept coming through. I didn't know much about it. So the next thing happened, I had to start allowing my old habits to keep coming in that was running my life, such as getting very frustrated when I could not reach my goals. They just took over this frustration. But I had to know that it's there. Don't fight it. Otherwise I'm going back to the old habit of just trying to ignore it and trying to push through. Even though I wanted so badly to make these changes, some sort of tool to be able to use it. This not give in method approach was not working. Just hammering away, hammering away. It's like building a wall around yourself and trying to work outside of it why there's a wall there. The solution, once again, was not easy at first. Once I understood not to fight or even try to resist the change, just to keep it going, just let it keep going, this made a huge difference. So now, instead of trying to fight it, and the situation is like, oh, I can't keep still to go inside myself, look inside myself to meditate, don't fight it. And I've had many times people say, I can't meditate for more than a minute. I start wanting to move around. My answer is, move around. Because we've got a very strong, dominant old habit that the body's learned. This is the way it's trying to do things. And if you're not in a calm way, then how are you going to bring in the new way? So you don't fight it, and the body's like, oh, I can accept that. And as accepting it, there's less resistance. And now you can start working on it. Do you want to keep allowing my old emotions to be triggers that trigger me into certain situations? We're always going to have triggers. The bottom line is, I've learned we are always going to have you're going to have the same triggers, but what we do with the triggers is the key. This loop is very painful. The trigger comes, we react. The trigger comes, react. Okay, we change another trigger, we react. Another trigger, and we react. As much as I didn't like it, kept coming over and over again. It was like an automatic switch. Every time the trigger, the switch would go on and I react the same way. The solution, once again, is very, very simple, but takes time. The real solution is to know that I can change. Have a mental understanding, an emotional and a mental understanding that I can change. Change to what? Well, it's a very simple one. Instead of being hooked up into the negative things, start finding the good, finding the positive, and attach an emotion to it. Yes, it's a process. You can say you've tried it, but it takes a lot of time. What we're trying to do is move like a railway cart from one train that's not working, leave it there, and now move on to another railway line called the positive one and start working on that. And it takes time to build. They say it can take up to 12 months, 365 days to program it. The more we keep focusing on it, not with the mind alone, but also with the heart. So now we're becoming emotionally attached to what we want. Otherwise, the old triggers, we're going to be emotionally attached to the old way. And with emotions attached to it, even though you might thinking the new way, but the old way still got the emotions in. So what's going to happen? The emotions are so strong that it's going to pull you back to the old way. So now we've got to start opening up to the goodness and being thankful. And one thing I discovered, that one of the most valuable parts of being in the zone, in the flow state, is you become very thankful, very positive. Oh yeah, this is working. This is working. Wow, how amazing that. Thank God for this. Thank God for that. It's amazing. It just non-stops keep happening. More and more you keep doing it, what happens? It keeps flowing more. Same thing here. We've got off that wrong railway line that's called negative, going to get on the positive one, and we're going to keep adding to it. being positive, being thankful. It's a journey. And one of another little key things is what keeps us locked up is our mind gets stuck and frozen on the unknown. The mind wants the predictable, but what we can do is reframe the unknown as something joyful, like going on a journey. You may not have ever been there before, but you're looking forward to it. But in other situations, the unknown becomes scary. So now we can learn how to bring that in. The mind is always looking for safety. By training the unknown using visualization that you're going on their way, meditation, or this is a process that takes time. The body can take on the new way and feel comfortable about it. So instead of getting to a situation like, oh, I don't like this. No, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it unraveling. I'm excited about it. It's like opening a present, opening up an Amazon package. Wow, what's inside? You sort of got an idea, but you're still excited about it. This way, we're going to slowly replace the old emotions with a new one to create the new habits. One very important part I want to add to this is a Torah view of this is that all the experience we've had up till now, we've needed it so we can get closer to Him. We can get closer and we can become a better person. The whole part is becoming a better person. And if we keep resenting it, it's going to cause more of a lockdown. So through growth, we're okay. That was custom designed us, this problem, this situation, this stress. That it was like a stepping stone. So now looking at it instead of, oh, look at all these problems I had to go. No, these are deliberately given to me for a good reason. So now we can start looking at the past a little bit and like, wow, I've grown from that, but also that be thankful that that was given to me so I can get to the next stage. How amazing is that? By rewording it, retouching it, re-understanding of it, we can create a whole new way of digesting it and be able to put it in a calm, relaxing way. So when we come up to a situation you don't feel comfortable with, we can know that this was given us for a reason. And we know right now, we can deal with a challenge. God gave us these blessings. So now we can deal with it in a calm way. One of the most amazing choices we have is how we emotionally choose to deal with things. So do I need to go into old habit, or I can take my breath and focus and allow myself to let go and just focus on what we want. Okay, the old one's still strong, but I know within time, my new way is going to take over. And also understanding that the true real happiness comes from within. And this is a very, very powerful and takes a lot of stress off. Why does it take a lot of stress off? Because we don't have to find anything outside. We can just be peaceful where we are. And that's all it takes. I want to thank you once again for staying through to the end. I appreciate it. Oh, if you're a subscriber, I want to thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. I love seeing the comments. I love getting all the messages. I appreciate it very much. Take care.